Hello everyone, I am Matt Williamson coming at you here to finish up the week, give my prediction, all that good stuff. We're going to focus on when the Rams have the ball. And unlike yesterday's podcast when the Steelers had the ball, besides Aaron Donald, their defense is just not talented. It's well coached. They're just kind of hanging on, but their offense is legitimately good. At this minute, October 20th, I think Matthew Stafford is the best quarterback in the NFC. McVay is a big-time legit guy. Nakua and especially Kupp are dangerous, and I expect them both to have, or that trio, the passing game, to have big days. I also think their running back situation's a problem. Their low line's okay. But here's the problem with the running back situation for me is protection. Because as you'll see here in a minute, this team lives in 11 personnel. And they also like to get Higbee, the tight end, out in routes. So that only leaves a running back to help protect with Watt, Highsmith, etc. And if you're throwing a rookie out there that's only played 6 snaps, or someone off the practice squad, or someone off someone else's practice squad, I think that's going to present problems, and that's all going to fall on Stafford's lap, which he can handle. But I do expect some big plays on defense, and as we always talk about, if this defense gets splash, they're usually in the game or win it. So we'll see. But all right, let's buzz through this. Offense averages 5.6 yards per play, only 5 or better. Pittsburgh's defense gives up 5.6 yards per play. So maybe every time they snap the ball, they'll get 5.6 yards in this game. As I mentioned, no offense in the league uses one specific personnel group more than the Rams use 11 personnel, one back, one tight end, 94% of their snaps. So therefore, they're the smallest percentage in the league with an extra tight end on the field. Maybe McVay does that. Maybe he brings an extra tight end just to block, but that's not what they do. Or he may ask Higbee to block a lot, but that's not what he does. So I find that part very interesting. Meanwhile, only one defense has played a higher percentage of their snaps, 40%, with 4 defensive backs on the field than Pittsburgh base. And the Steelers are 31st in their use of nickel, with 5 defensive backs on the field. Some of this is because a lot of this is because they've faced teams, Houston, San Francisco, etc., that play with a fullback. So the Steelers have been forced into their 3-4 more. They're going to be either 5 or 6 defensive backs almost exclusively in this game, which means Joey Porter Jr. should basically play 100% of the snaps. The Eagles and Cowboys are the only offenses that average more plays per drive than Los Angeles. If you remember, Steelers were horrible in this regard, offense. The Broncos is the only defense that produces a 3 and out, a lower percentage than Pittsburgh. You wouldn't think that. I mean, the Steelers defense does not produce 3 and outs. So that doesn't bode well. Los Angeles only ran 55 plays compared to 73 by the Cardinals last week, but they averaged 6.9 yards per play. As a team, Pittsburgh's defense is allowing a completion percentage of 54.5. Only 4 defenses are better, so people are not completing a high percentage of passes against the Steelers. However, only the Bengals defense is seeing a higher average depth of target. So teams throw deep against the Steelers. The average pass attempt against the Steelers is just under 10 yards downfield. Now, can they hold the ball and do that in this game and attack that way, or will this be more of a quick hitting situation? That's something to watch. 34% of Los Angeles passing plays have resulted in a first down or touchdown. 6th best rate in the league. But their offense is 27th in completion percentage. So that's a trend. Steelers are not allowing a high completion percentage. The Rams are also not completing a high percentage of their passes. But of the quarterbacks with at least 50 passing attempts, only Tua and Cousins are passing for more yards per game than Stafford. Stafford's average depth of target is 6th highest. Only 39% of Stafford's yardage has come after the catch, the 3rd lowest percentage in the league. But Stafford's 2.9 touchdown rate is the lowest of his career. Had a lot of touchdowns dropped, a lot of things that probably won't hold up. But they, again, like the Steelers' defense, he throws deep without a high completion percentage. It's exactly how teams are attacking the Steelers. Only 38% of the Steelers' passing yards have come after the catch. The Lions are the only defense with a lower percentage, doing a very good job of tackling the catch. Against the Cardinals, in his second game back from injury, Cooper Kupp received 43% of Stafford's targets. In that game, he played 100% of the snaps, compared to 96% for Puka Nacua. Based just off EPA, Kupp was the NFL's third best pass catcher in Week 6. Kupp has 18 games with 100 or more receiving yards since 2021, out of a possible 28. 18 of his last 28 games have been 100 yards or more, and he is back in a big way. And he might torture the Steelers, by the way. Nacua was targeted on 25% of Stafford's dropbacks last week. For the season, his team target share is still fourth highest in NFL among all receivers that have run at least 75 routes. Puka Nacua averages just a smidge under 100 receiving yards per game. That's sixth highest in the NFL. Only Tyreek Hill and Stephon Diggs have a higher targets per route run than Nacua. A lot of that's because early in the season he was getting 20, 25 targets a game when Kupp was out. But he's still really good and is going to cause problems for this bad secondary. Over the 2 games that Kupp has been back from injury, him and Nacua have accounted for 72% of the Rams' targets. And over those 2 games, these two have accounted for 26 of Stafford's 36 total completions and 363 of Stafford's 448 passing yards. So like across the board, 3/4 of their passing game goes to 2 guys since they've been back. Now this is scary too. Only 2 defenses are allowing more receiving yards to the wide receiver position per game than Pittsburgh. As you might remember, Brandon Ayuk, Amari Cooper, Devontae Adams, Nico Collins, and Zay Flowers. 5 guys in 5 games. They have caught a combined 40 passes for 632 yards against the Steelers this year. A wide receiver facing the Steelers has caught at least 5 passes for at least 73 yards in all 5 games, and I expect it to happen again. As mentioned, Tyler Higbee has been on the field for 382 of a possible 411 snaps. Rarely comes off the field. Because the Rams utilize 11 personnel so frequently, there isn't another tight end on the roster with more than 47 snaps played. Over the past 2 games, though, with Kupp back, Higbee's run a route on 87% of Stafford's dropbacks. Again, they do not want him pass protecting, but has only been targeted on 14% of these routes. He has just 4 catches over the past 2 games with Kupp back in the lineup. Let's take a quick break here. We'll talk a little bit more about pass rush and run game. Steelers defense ranks in the top 6 in both sacks per game and takeaways per game. Pittsburgh's defense is pressuring opposing quarterbacks on 41% of their dropbacks. Only the Cowboys, Niners, and Jets are better. So when Stafford has been, quote, pressured, he's completed 39% of his attempts. That's 30th among pressured quarterbacks for 6.1 yards per attempt. That's 16th. With 1 touchdown pass. When Stafford's been clean, he's 18th in completion percentage and 10th in yards per attempt. Much bigger discrepancy with him than most quarterbacks of pressured versus not. Huge key to this game. Even though he didn't play last week, TJ Watt still leads the NFL in quarterback takedowns, sacks plus hits. He has 15 of them in 5 games. He's the only player in the league with 5 or more sacks and 4 or more pass defense. Watt averages 1.2 sacks per game since 2021. Think about this. No other player in the NFL is averaging over a sack per game during that time. Since 2021, he's at 1.2 per game. No one else is even at 1. And some of those games are when he came back from injury last year and wasn't himself. Watt and Highsmith are 2 of just 4 NFL players with 8 or more forced fumbles since 2021. They're both great at it. In the 3 games LA has won this year, they ran the ball a total of 104 times, 34.7 times per game, okay? In their 3 losses, they have a total of 49 rushing attempts, just 16.3 times per game. The Steelers allow the 4th most rushing yards per game and the 6th highest yards per carry. Just 3 defenses have a higher percentage of their rushing yards allowed come after first contact than the Steelers. Some of this is McCaffrey and Ford getting free, obviously, on those 2, but tons after contact in the running game, very little after the catch in the passing game. Kyron Williams, he's not going to play in this game, but he's played 337 snaps this year. Ronnie Rivers, not going to play in this game. He's played 40. This week's projected starter, Zach Evans, has played 6. That's frightening to me if I were them. And Williams has 399 more rushing yards than any other Rams ball carrier. Williams ran for 158 yards last week, despite LA only running the ball 3 times in the first half. But they did open the third quarter with 8 straight called running plays. He was the best running back in the league last week per EPA, which he ain't going to be there. So a lot of interesting stuff to this. I think the stats back that up. But here's what I wrote. Every week everyone on staff does a prediction. And these are my words, basically, is I think the Steelers win a very close game. And I think they're about 40 points scored in this game. I actually haven't looked at the over-under. Maybe I'm right on, maybe I'm off. I don't know. But by that logic, I wanted to pick this game 21-20 in the Steelers' favor. However, that would imply that they score 3 touchdowns. And I'm just not there yet with this offense. So let's go with 2018 Steelers, even though I expect Stafford to light the secondary up. I do think that the Steelers defense will have splash plays, and when they do, they're in it. And I think they'll still have a lot of production to Nakua and certainly Kupp. But I think this running back situation for the Rams is a problem. And maybe I'm nuts. I think the Steelers offense could be respectable in this game. I mean, they should be balanced. Doesn't sound like Freiermuth's is going to play. What's up with his durability, by the way? It's officially time to be worried. Big picture. But I do think the offense will move the ball, run and air, more like the second half of last year than we've seen to this point. And maybe I'm just being optimistic. I don't know. But that's my plan. Everyone have a great weekend. I will be on the pregame show at noon with Tim Benz, and then I'll rush home, watch 1 o'clock games, watch Steeler game, of course, and then give you a podcast probably directly after the game, like a minute or 2 after the game. So that's that, and then we'll get back going, preparing for the Jags, I guess it is, on Monday. They look good. That game worries me. All right, over and out. Take care.